Today on What It's Like, 1958 Ford Ranch Wagon. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. This channel, we cover the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars that get lost in the shuffle. Dive in deep with specs, period correct ads, do the full tour with the button switches and knobs. But most important, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that you will totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. Currently for sale at Classic Auto Mall, Morgantown, Pennsylvania is this 1958 Ford Ranch Wagon. If you're interested, be sure to click the link below after the show. Let's talk 1958 Ford model lineup. Ford was offered as Custom 300, Fairlane, Fairlane 500, Thunderbird. They offered a truck line and a Ranchero option, which was like half car, half truck. Very cool. And then there was the wagons. Ford offered all kinds of wagons in 1958, starting in the basement, two-door ranch wagon, followed by the two-door Del Rio ranch wagon, which was their more upscale two-door wagon offering. 1958 Ford also offered a four-door ranch wagon as well. Moving up to the middle tier, country sedan could be had in a 6-passenger or 9-passenger configuration. Sitting at the top of Ford's wagon range was the Country Squire, and that could be had in 6 or 9 passengers as well. Ford offered the ranch wagon from 1952 to 1974. The ranch wagon was Ford's basement model or entry-level wagon. So let's compare the 57 ranch wagon to the 58 ranch wagon. 57 on top, 58 on the bottom. Starting in the front, I'm not the biggest 57 Ford fan. The design is very to me, but I totally dig the front end design of the 58. They're two totally different designs. The 58 has quad headlights, bigger bumper, Ford spelled out on the nose of the car. It also features a fake hood scoop, has side markers up on top of the fenders, and the 57 just has a single hood ornament in the center of the hood. Moving to the side profile, bumpers on the 58 don't extend into the wheel well like on the 57. The dip isn't as extreme on the 58, but it keeps all the other lines seen on the 57. Moving to the rear in the rear quarter section, I apologize, the 58 is a more upscale Del Rio. I couldn't find the same angle that matched the 57. Rear bumpers have been revised. Notice they were able to keep the fin line and side profile virtually the same, but totally changed the rear end design. On the 57, the tail end looks like jet thrusters, and it creates almost like a negative space where the tailgate is. Whereas on the 58, it fills all of that in. Just wait until you see how thick and bulky this tailgate is when we do the walk around. Moving to the dash region, relatively the same. 58 has chrome where the switches are as opposed to the same color as the dash on the 57. Gauge faces are black on the 57, whereas on the 58, they're white. Which one do you like better in the comment section, 57 or 58? I personally like the 58 better, but I will say that I like the 57 rear end over the 58 rear end. What are your thoughts? Let's talk specs. 203.5 inches long, 78 inches wide, 58.6 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 116 inches. It weighs 3,640 pounds. Price, $2,504, which is equivalent to you spending $25,715.56 in the year 2023. Total 1958 Ford production was 947,945 units. Total two-door ranch V8 wagons was 34,578 units. Moving on to engines. 4 engines on offer, starting in the basement. 223 cubic inch displacement, mileage maker 6, 3.7 liters. It makes 145 horsepower, 4,200 RPM, 212 pound-feet of torque. I couldn't find an RPM figure. I'm sorry. Bore 3.6 inches, stroke 3.6 inches, compression 6.621. Features 4 main bearings. When mated to a 3-speed manual transmission, all of these engines will be mated to the 3-speed manual just so you can see how much of a difference there is. 0 to 60, 13.8 seconds. Theoretical top speed, 92 miles per hour. Average fuel economy, 14.3 miles to the gallon. Moving on to the next engine, which was offered in two flavors. 332 cubic inch displacement V8, 5.4 liters. One version produced 240 horsepower called the Interceptor V8. A more potent 265 horsepower version was offered called the Interceptor Special. The 265 horsepower version was only available with the 3-speed Cruise-O-Matic automatic transmission. So just to recap, 240 through 265 horsepower, it was made at 4,600 RPM, 340 pound-feet of torque at, I couldn't find an RPM figure, I'm sorry, bore 4 inches, stroke 3.3 inches, compression 9.5 to 1, features 5 main bearings. With the 240 horsepower version with the 3-speed manual, 0 to 60 could be had in 8.7 seconds. Theoretical top speed, 108 miles per hour. Average fuel economy, 11.5 miles to the gallon. Moving on to the biggest and baddest engine on offer for 1958, 352 cubic inch displacement, V8, 5.8 liters. It's good for 300 horsepower, 4,600 RPM, 380 pound-feet of torque, bore 4 inches, stroke 3.5 inches, compression 10.2 to 1. 0 to 60 when equipped with the 3-speed manual, 7.5 seconds. Theoretical top speed, 111 miles per hour, while achieving an average fuel economy rating of 11.5 miles to the gallon. Moving on to transmissions, 4 transmissions on offer. Conventional drive was standard. That was the 3-speed manual transmission. Optional overdrive was available, as well as, this is where things get really confusing. And I have no idea why they did this. It's super confusing. The original Ford-O-Matic was a 3-speed unit introduced back in 1951. It also went by the name of Merc-O-Matic and Turbo Drive. In 1958, for whatever reason, Ford decided to rename this transmission the Cruise-O-Matic and would eventually go on to be the FMX in 1968. Ford decided to make an automatic 2-speed and name it the Ford-O-Matic. It's worth mentioning that the Ford-O-Matic was manufactured in 3 different case sizes, small, medium, and large. And this is to add even more confusion to it. Every single source that I saw said the Ford-O-Matic, the 2-speed version, didn't come out until 1959. But in the advertisement, it has Ford-O-Matic 2-speed automatic transmission. So are all of those sources wrong, or is the advertisement wrong? It's also worth mentioning that a sprag was added to the planetary assembly in 58 so that you could select whether you wanted to start out in first gear or second gear. So just to reiterate, Ford offered 4 transmissions. Conventional drive was the 3-speed manual, optional overdrive, 2-speed Ford-O-Matic, 3-speed Cruise-O-Matic. Both of the latter ones were automatic transmissions. All right, let's talk styling. Starting with the front. Notice the turn signals. They do not wrap around. This part is not the turn signal indicator. This is the turn signal indicator. But I love how this is textured. Also, just check out the angle of the bumper. This bubbles out just a wee bit, and notice it goes back down inside the fender. The lines of this car are really nice. A little bit of a hood on the headlights. Check out the gun sights. I love how this is dished out. Hood scoop comes down into a point here where there's a nice Ford logo inside there. It says Ford here, nice and proud on the front. Gun sight there. Notice the grille has little circles. Coming down the side, notice the wheel well is dished out just a wee bit right there. It's just an ever so faint line. Check out this chrome line. Bright work comes across here. Comes back just past the door and kicks up to there. There's all kinds of lines going on with the roof as well. The fin section starts right here, and it just ever so slightly protrudes outward at a bit of an angle before coming out the back. And getting inside, so just notice how this door is designed. It's got a nice frame that goes the whole way around it. Here's my fingers for reference. It's pretty thick, or deep I should say. Here is what the door panel looks like. Notice it's two-toned with dark blue and light blue. Feels like a vinyl material. Armrest, door handle to pull the door shut. This is the door handle to get out. This is the window crank for the big window. Operates like that. This is the door lock to lock the doors. This is to operate the vent window. Operates like that. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, hood release, clutch, brake, gas pedal, high beam switches right here on the floor, aftermarket oil pressure gauge. Just take a look at this interior. It has a back seat, but there isn't another door. It's only a two-door wagon. It's really cool. What the door sounds like shutting. Here's what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood looks like. Here's the situation underneath the steering wheel. I wear size 34 pants, and the only reason I keep saying that is because if you are the same size as me, you will fit in this car very comfortably. The steering wheel is very dished, but it's it feels nice. On to the button switches and knobs, starting on the left and moving right. Ignition, headlights, left air vent, gasoline gauge. Notice the instruments are in an arch formation. Odometer, which is flanked by idiot lights. One of them is the amp light, the other one is the oil pressure light. I'm not sure which was which. Speedometer at the top, coolant temperature, right air vent, windshield wipers, choke, heat and ventilation controls. Fan speed, low and high, with off being in the center. Radio and clock. Over here, ashtray. On to glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here is my hand for reference. Here is our glove box in question. That glove box is absolutely huge, and it fits in there no problem at all. Getting into the back seat, just fold the seat forward like that. Notice it pivots out of the way just ever so slightly. That's how much space you have to get in the back. That's what the front looks like from the back. Just take a look at the greenhouse. And that is what the view looks like out the back. That's how much space is behind the seat. Dome light up top. The headliner is made out of like a fabric material. Coat hook there, as well as another coat hook over there. There isn't any armrest. This window does open. It slides open like that. And that's as far open as the window goes. So here's the knee space. There's adequate knee space, but I will say this is what I look like. I got tons of head space, but the rear seat sits up higher than the front seat. Like it feels like if there was somebody sitting in front of me, I would be able to see over them because I am sitting that much higher than they are. It's crazy, but it's interesting. Getting into the storage area. Now, if you notice, there isn't a handle here. So you have to do this. Until it gets to this point, put your hand back in here and pull up on it like this. And then you can put the tailgate down. Putting the seat down. The seat bottom cushion flips forward like this. So with both seats down, that is how much space is in the rear compartment of the 58 Ranch wagon. Putting the seat back up is everything that you did, but in reverse. You pick this seat back up and then flip this back just like that. Putting this back up, I just want to show you how bulky this tailgate is. It's one of the most bulkiest tailgates I've ever seen. Getting under the hood. So we already popped the hood. There is a J catch down inside there. See it right there? You just move it out of the way. And that's what the engine situation looks like. Master cylinder. Notice there isn't a power brake booster attached to it. It's got power steering though, right there. Check out that massive water pump. It's got the slender battery. There's the heater. On to the pros and cons. On the positive side, different two-door wagon configuration, good styling, lots of space in the back, storage area is big, even with the rear seats in place. Hood release inside, camera fits in the glove box, and that shows that if you have big valuables such as a small purse, it can be put in the glove box and no one will ever know that it's in there. FE engine options. On the cons, weird, bulky, heavy tailgate. Tailgate opening procedure is very weird, and two-door wagon configuration, if you have a family, could be very cumbersome getting everybody in the rear seat. All right, now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give me both the name of the band as well as song title. First person to do both correctly will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below, or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook, no big deal. I will link my email in there if you want to shoot me a private message. Thank you all so much for all of the support, and until next time, here are some scenes for our next episode. 1948 Pontiac Silver Streak. This might be the very first car that has a rear windshield wiper. Very interesting, right? That's what's next on What It's Like. Tune in Wednesday for that episode. And until then, toodaloo! Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.